From Kalamazoo, direct to you, it's a WKZO.com quickcast.
Really, I don't have too much with Michigan. I think defensively, it's really hard to factor in what they're going to end up being doing because they got a new coordinator. They got a lot of new faces. They've had 9 months to kind of figure out what they like to do and where they want to go. So, fortunately, we've got a fifth-year senior that I think has seen most of it. So we'll have to rely on him. We're really trying to do what we do best against those guys. On the other side, you got the three quarterbacks. We feel like their strengths. They'll parlay that into it. If that's what I would do if I was there. And if I'm going to play three of them, I'm going to make sure I get 4 or 5 best plays for each one of those guys. And we think we got a fairly good handle on that. Really concerned about their run game, running the football and coming at us and pounding this. We got a lot of young kids over on defense, but they're really young and enthusiastic. So it's some negative, some positive. But I really like what happened in the preseason. I think our kids went out there and practiced hard. I think they're doing all the right things, and it'll be an adventure, I think, for some of those guys out there. Because I keep on telling those true freshmen, you think you know, but you really don't know. You have no idea how fast the game is out there. So we're trying to. Try to get those guys, get our older kids, and make our younger kids understand a little bit more. But really happy the way it's been going, and I think we're ready for a challenge and ready to go out there and play another team.
Yesterday, at the end of I heard you kind of addressing the situation in Ann Arbor. And so what do you talk about? What you told the team in terms of that?
Yeah, it really, it's really kind of interesting because I think in football or in any sport, you let the distractions, for them, what you make of it. If they win, they bond it together. If teams lose, it was a distraction. So, they're going to be ready. They're young and resilient. The kids. I mean, those kids. It's all about them, about their football team. So, Obi, who's a great kid, goes out there and says, it'll make us together more. Which probably is what's going to happen. If things aren't going real well, who knows what's going to happen there. So, but I just tell our guys, just focus in on what we can do, what's important for us, and just go from there. And we have no control over that. And I tell the kids, we have no control over why even be phased at it at all. But let's just go out there and make sure we do what we need to do.
Coach, without talking specifically about their situation, can you talk about the challenge of the hourly limit? Kids doing that and doing stuff on their own time. Can you just speak to that as far as your team?
Yeah, I don't see it as a challenge. I really don't. I mean, it's quarterbacks. When you're able to work on your own, does Tim Hiller put in 20 hours a week? No. I mean, he watches a lot of film by himself. But as far as structurally, where we're involved in there, in fact, we've never even got to 20 hours during the week. I'm a big believer in getting the kids ready to play on Saturday. We don't have an issue, but again, with a guy like Tim Hillard, Chad Henne came out, and he's right. I mean, you got to put some extra time into it, but that's your time. That's not something where you sit there with your coach and just do it because. Yeah, and so no cheesecake for you today. But it's. I think it's a challenge for skilled type guys, for positions, linemen there. But for us, we got to lay it out. We follow it to a T, and a lot of times we finish up before we need to.
Can you see where something like that could get away from a program, coaches? Can you see where that could be a problem for people?
Yeah, but at the same time, I think what bothers me a little is that some of the national, everybody does it. No, and I'm not saying they do it. Michigan, But, Stanford, we know Missouri, we didn't do it. Western Michigan, we don't do it. It's just how, what you need to get done with your kids there, and you got to be on the constraints of your 20-hour week and do what you have to get done. So, I don't know. I've never been in that position, because that's just what we've done.
Do you think there'll be any advantage to Steve Morrison going back to Ann Arbor, having been a star there himself, in talking to the defense about what to expect being in the big house?
We really haven't talked that much about it either. I think when you start bringing in outside factors you can't control, then I think you're just wasting a lot of time. We're more schemes, focus in on what we need to get done with situations, down and distance and stuff like that. And the good thing is, if this was the first time we've played in a venue like this, you'd probably be a little concerned. But some of these kids have played in a lot of places. The Florida States, the Iowas, and I know they're not as big as Michigan, but you get some semblance of it. No, we haven't really. And a lot of kids, a lot of our Michigan kids, of course, have seen it or been there, so they understand.
Bill, is there an advantage? I know your focus is on their defense, but having 2 years ago faced that offense, for your defensive staff and seen his tendencies and what, obviously it's different personnel, but I've got to think there's some advantage at some level to having played the coaching staff. Yeah,
a little, but it's just he's going to do the same thing. He's going to go out there and does he have a Pat White there? He might, but when you had Pat White and you had Slayton and guys like that, you kind of knew they had a pretty good wideout and then that big fullback type guy. So you change a little bit in your strategy there. I think the pace of the game is probably facing that and seeing it in person. I think that's the one thing that probably helps us out a little. And we're throwing two huddles at our defense. So as soon as the one offense runs their play, the second offense is getting up on the ball, ready to run the play to get our defense playing faster.
Can you talk? There's 5 new coaches in the MAC this year. Yeah, you were able to keep your staff together, which has got to be a tremendous advantage. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Yeah, that huge, because when you have staff changes, that puts you about 3 or 4 months behind. Number one, recruiting, and if they leave after recruiting, you got to worry about the kids, because that was the guy who really came to school. And some people, will say that you should come to school for the university, and they're right, but it doesn't always work that way. So that was always an issue. And then spring ball, having to go through it, just drills, having to reteach the drills, sit in the meeting, spending more extra time, exactly being on the same page. And then scheme-wise, when guys got to come in, they always have, their ideas. So, we didn't have to go one step beyond that again. And then offensively, for me personally, it's a ton easier. You give a little bit more responsibility because of what they've done. Some guys are doing a little bit more scripting than we've done in the past. Some guys are taking a little bit more responsibility, and that kind of frees me up a little. So that's really been a big help.